Alright, so I made this robot arm. I'm really excited about it, and I keep mentioning that I'm gonna put up tutorials on Patreon, and I've been working on it. I've actually made a bunch of videos, but I keep just going about it in the wrong way, and so I'm gonna try just starting over. Bop bop bop. Okay, so Rococo has added fingers to their gloves, which means we gotta make a robot hand. And don't worry if you don't have a suit, because most of this is just going to be about modeling and rigging and all of that. But I actually already made this video, but I wanted to make it better. So let's try doing a thing. I want to make a guy with a robot spatula hand. He's like a chef who lost his arm in a deep fryer accident, and so now he has a spatula. So let's just get that action real quick. Just gonna record it. Also, they didn't have to make this outfit quite so cyberpunk, but I appreciate that they did. So this is the general plan of what I want to make. It's a hand that can be a spatula, but also the fingers can kind of separate too. And I just want to have a quick shot of somebody kind of stirring up like a stir fry with that, and mostly because also I think we can do boiling oil really easily, kind of sizzling, and little bits of onion and like mushrooms and stuff, and I think that's gonna be fun. But yeah, this is the design for the hand mostly, and I like the idea that like there's motors, up here that control a linkage that actually are what control the arm instead of like hydraulics or pneumatics or anything like that, and I think it'll make everything kind of moving. I also like it because we could just connect this up to a mocap rig, and because everything's solved with IK, all of the linkages will just operate automatically, which I think is rad when you just have a basic thing happening and everything else is like so let's dive into it and see if we can just rig this up really quick. The reason I started with the mocap was mostly because I did want to have, we don't need a base rig to build it off of, but because I do want to play nice with mocap, I figured it'd be good to figure out that workflow a little bit too. So let's dive in. So just to show you some stuff, I'm gonna mock up some of the bits of the hand real quick. Okay, and I've tried to make this so bad that there's no way I could ever be tempted to use this as the final, because I want to show you just the basics of the rigging really quick. And I've already talked about using IK chains and stuff before, but it was just, they're so powerful because you just have to control the end bone, and everything else can work. In fact, let me show you something. Okay, this entire robot arm is based around just an IK chain, and all I have to do is grab this one bone. You can see if I can move it over here, and it all just kind of solves itself. And that's because you can constrain different bones in the IK chain to only rotate on one axis. So like down here, if we go down into the IK settings, you can see I've locked everything but the Y axis here, so it only rotates along that post. I can also control the stiffness of that, and so if right now I have it turned up so the head is absorbing a lot of that solution, but if I turn this stiffness down, then this bone has no problem rotating, and so it handles most of that rotation, if that makes sense. And you can dial in so much from that. This right here is another IK chain that's just parented to this one, and so it's doing extra stuff just, because the two different bones have to solve just from one place to another on the IK chain. And like this robot arm looks kind of complex, but it's the exact same thing. It's just there's this one main IK chain going through here, and everything else is just IK chains parented to it, trying to solve from one bone on that chain to another, and that's what kind of creates that complexity. So with all of that in mind, and with the screencast keys on, I'm just going to create Shift A, a new armature, and first, kind of some setup. You can't see the bone when it goes inside geometry, and normally bones are inside geometry. So if we go to the object data here and viewport display, a lot of these are actually handy. In front means you can always see it. Axes is something we'll be using quite a bit, and changing between octahedral and like stick or something thinner, because a lot of times if you have a bunch of big old bones, you can start blocking, that gets in the way. So I'm just gonna rotate this and drag this down here. E to extrude, which is awesome. Let's change to wireframe, and let's see. This will be the hinge for here. This will be the hand. Cool. And I'm just gonna create another bone, kind of line it up with this piece. extrude that down to here, and this will be part of the IK setup. And what IK setups do is they control a chain. They connect a chain from like here to a solution bone. And so we need a solution bone right here that's parented to this. Right now, to like the forearm. Right now, this bone, because we extruded it, is parented to this linkage. So we're gonna hit Alt P, clear parent, and then we're just gonna, like any parenting, you shift click on that bone and hit Control P and parent it, keep offset. And so now if this bone moves, it'll take this one with it, dragging the solution around that this wants to solve to. Hopefully that makes sense. We're gonna keep going. So now I'm doing this this other linkage right here, the one that controls the spatula. So I'm just gonna set this down here, extrude this to here, and this solution bone is still gonna be like right here. It's gonna be at the tip. Here, let's Alt P, clear parent, because we don't want the parent to be connected to here because it's what this is trying to reach, and otherwise you get a dependency collision. So this one is going to be parented to the hand, and keep offset, and that means we don't actually need bones like to extend all the way to this. This is just, if we go into pose mode, see, they're just connected. It's effectively they're connected. And to set up IK is so easy. We click on this one and we say this is the control bone, and so we shift click on the one we wanted to control and hit Shift I, and we say, hey, you're IK now. And one thing you always want to keep pay attention to is where this dotted yellow line is going, because by default it's going to go all the way to the very start of the parent chain, and if you're like trying to IK something onto like a hand, it'll IK all the way back down to the hip, and that means that hand is now trying to control the whole body, which sometimes is cool. In fact, the fact that the dotted line only goes to here implies actually that we have not yet parented this bone to the forearm. So let's do that real quick. Just, shift click, Control P, keep offset, and now if we go back into pose mode, my guess is this goes all the way here, which is too far. So in the bone properties here, I think, yeah, IK. No, it's under constraints, of course. And here's our IK constraint that auto-generated when we clicked Shift I. We're just going to make this be 2. So now wherever this goes, it's going to control that. And if we move this, look at that. It's going to automatically control those linkages. Going to do the same thing with this one. Just Shift I. And there we go. And it doesn't go all the way, which means we haven't parented this one yet. So we'll parent that. And then we'll set this one to be 2. And so now if we, I want this to be the control for the whole arm. So Alt P, clear parent, back into pose mode. You apply constraints in pose mode. It's a little bit weird because you think it's like, oh, that's editing the rig, but you assemble the arrangement of the skeletons in rigging, but you give them their abilities in pose mode. So here's this, shift click, Shift I to active bone, and that one we do want to go all the way to the beginning. So now when we drag this around, all of these other bones are doing what they're supposed to. We rotate this, and that wiggles. We do this, and the other one wiggles, and that's so easy. Oh, I love it. So Alt G. Let's quickly just parent all of these. I'm gonna tab into edit mode here and hit P, separate by loose parts, and now every and now every object is its own piece of mesh. And I'm just gonna parent these to the rig really quick. I've talked about this quite a bit before, but if you just parent an object to the rig, it has no idea which bone it has to go into. So you have to click on the thing you want, then you shift click on the rig, and you go into pose mode, and then you select the bone that you want to have it parented to, and select the bone, which is it's a little bit of a hefty thing if you're trying to parent a bunch of stuff, but it goes pretty quick. Bum bum. We're already mostly done. Oh. Dun dun. You just can't think about it. You have to use your muscle memory. I lost it. Okay. So these should be the same object, parented to that bone, yes. And is that all of them? Let's find out. Hey, it looks like it. Okay. Let's go to solid view. So now if I drag that around, I like it. So one thing you're probably noticing is that this linkage up here, it maxes out really quick, and but it doesn't go all the way when it extends. So there's a lot we could do. We could give it more. We could just start with it. Well, let's just make it longer. Yeah, and we can also scale this down. And I love this process. The fact that we can just like scale bones to experiment with like what works. This means that this is the closest that he could ever move his arm that way. So I guess we want to scale that up. Cool. And that, yeah, that. Yeah. Do you want this shorter? And that's longer? What would be the best way for this to work? We can also change, you know, where the solution bone is. So I'm just gonna experiment with this real quick, because I want him to be able to move his arm, have a full range of motion. My guess is the closer that this is, if we move these both closer to the elbow. There we go. Cool. So in theory, it's actually this bone, you know, that would be controlling the robot arm. But in the context of the rig, it's like being, you know, just following whatever. You get what I'm saying. That said, let's see, can I shrink this? Because I don't want it to mess up the silhouette of the arm too much. Cool. I like that. And one thing I'm actually going to do for this mesh right here is I'm going to have it kind of like go like this. And again, this is just kind of to show where everything is. This isn't the actual geometry. Cool. So yeah, hopefully that's intersecting. Doesn't matter, but I just hate how it looks. Okay. Yeah, so that's kind of weird, but that gets the point across, and the rig definitely works okay. It's kind of weird that this doesn't change scale at all, or sorry, I'm thinking as I'm talking, which means I'm bad at both. But yeah, that looks pretty cool. Let's extend this out and shrink this. Ooh, okay. I like that. That's pretty nifty. In the real thing, this bone will probably not be as curved, but let's. And actually, I think I might just leave it as rigging basics, and then I'll have do another video that's like more complicated stuff once you want to actually start constraining axes and like when the wrists turn and how do you deal with building hinges and all of that. Because that video could get kind of long, and honestly, I would rather put out a few 15-minute videos than like a big hour-long one where you're like, where's the information that I'm trying to find? So let me know if you have any thoughts on that too, because it's just as easy for me to do it either way. But I will just I'm erring on the side of things going shorter. So yeah, I'm just gonna throw this up there. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. Rigging is so fun.